Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, ma'am.
I hope you all are able to hear me clearly.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So yesterday we were learning about the network layer in the internet. That is how we can visualize the internet as a collection of subnetworks. So in the internet, the network layer is basically concerned with routing the data through the subnetworks or through the subnets via the backbone network onto the destination. So when our datagrams, when the data is being transmitted through the internet, it passes through innumerable subnetworks and routers to finally reach the destination. And hence, since there is a lot of heterogeneity involved in the internet, we require a protocol which can pin together all these different networks and allow the data to pass through them to be able to so that it can be delivered at the destination machine. So now we are today going to learn. Yesterday I had just started off with the IP header, but I think yesterday you people were still not clear about the header part and the optional part. So I have tried to add a few more points so that things will become clear to you. Okay. So now we will be learning about the IP datagram or the IP protocol. The internet protocol, it works in the internet layer. First of all, you have to recollect the TCP/IP reference model. Now we all know that in TCP/IP reference model, there are basically 4 layers. As you all can see in the diagram, those 4 layers are application layer, transport layer, internet layer, and host to network layer. These are the 4 layers in the TCP/IP reference model. So how does that, we all have learned this in the past as to how the layers work together. The data gets generated at the highest layer, that is at the application layer. There are different applications, like maybe a mailing application can be there, a chatting application can be there, a file transfer application can be there. These applications will generate the data. Now, whatever is the data that is generated by the application layer, it is taken up by the layer below it. Which is the layer below it? Transport layer. So transport layer takes the data that is generated by the application layer and it breaks it down into smaller parts or into smaller units. We sometimes call them as chunks. Okay. So smaller units means what? The data generated could be very huge. For example, imagine we are transferring a file which is of 1 GB. So 1 GB of data is generated at the application layer. But we can't send all together 1 GB of data in one packet. So that data needs to be broken down into smaller units so that it can be included inside a datagram, included inside a packet, and then it can be transmitted. So application layer will generate the data. That data can be very large in size, so that when it is passed to the transport layer will break it down into smaller chunks depending on the receiver's capacity. Whatever is the maximum transmission unit that the receiver can take, based on that it is broken up. After the transport layer breaks down the data, we call that breaking down as fragmentation. After it fragments the data is then sent to the next layer, that is the internet layer. So internet layer is the layer where internet protocol, IP, will be working. Now what this internet protocol will do? It will construct a IP datagram. We don't call it as a packet. In internet, we refer to it as a datagram. A datagram is nothing but a packet of data. So internet layer is concerned with creating IP datagrams. Each IP datagram, as I can show you in this diagram, is made up of two parts. If you all can see this slide, every IP datagram will be made up of a header, and it will be made up of the body, which includes the actual data that you want to transmit. So your data part is there and the header part is there. Together, this is called as a datagram. Okay. Now this IP header, the data part, it can be up to 65,535 bytes, 65535 bytes. The header part is again now going to have one part which is fixed, which will always be there. Every IP datagram will have the fixed part, and that fixed part can be maximum up to 20 bytes. So this fixed part is of fixed length. It's that part of the header is of fixed length. And there is one more part which is called as the optional part, which can be maximum up to 40 bytes. Okay, but this is optional. So it can, every packet may contain an optional part, or it may not contain an optional part, but fixed part, surely it will be there. Now, if optional part is there, it can be up to maximum 40 bytes. Maximum is the max limit of that particular optional part. But it can be 0 bytes also. 0 bytes means no optional part. It can be 5 bytes also. It can be 10 bytes also. Maximum the optional part can be up to 40 bytes. So this optional part is variable length, whereas the fixed part is fixed length. You understand the meaning of the word variable length and fixed length? That part, its length, the number of bytes are fixed. So fixed part is 20 bytes and it will always be there. The other part, that is optional part, name itself is telling. If necessary, it will be included. If not necessary, it won't be included. So if optional part is there, its length can vary, it can change. It can be 0 bytes, 5 bytes, 10 bytes, 12 bytes, 38 bytes, maximum 40 bytes. It will never go beyond 40 bytes, and it may be there, it may not be there. So this optional part, its length can vary. How many bytes long that part is, that can vary. That's why every IP header is made up of two parts now. The fixed part, which is 20 bytes long, and the optional part, which can be up to 40 bytes long, and it is of variable length. I think now you people are clear. Okay, data gets generated at the application layer. Maybe it is of large size. It comes down to the transport layer. Transport layer breaks it down into smaller units depending on whatever is the receiver's capacity. Then every unit will be handed over to the next layer, that is the internet layer. Internet layer will create IP datagrams or IP packets. Every datagram will have a header and it will have a data. Data is the actual data that you want to send. Header is the control information that is required to transmit the data to the destination. The header part can contain two parts again. Header could be divided into two parts. One is the fixed part, the other one is the optional part. Fixed part can be up to 20 bytes long, is 20 bytes long, and it is of fixed length. Optional part can be up to 40 bytes long, and it is of variable length. Okay. Now I will try to show you, before we learn the IP header, I will try to show you what is meant by fragmentation. Just now I told you, whenever data gets generated at the higher layers, for example, application layers, it can be of very large size. that large size data is broken down into smaller units, and that process of breaking down the data into smaller data units is called as fragmentation. Fragmentation breaks down a large data unit into smaller chunks. For example, imagine we have a source machine. Via many transmission lines and routers, it gets connected to the destination machine. In the diagram, we have shown the source, we have shown the destination, and we have shown one router. So for the sake of simplicity, imagine we have one router which routes the data to the destination. Now, the source is generating the data which is of 500 bytes length. Imagine the source has got a data packet or a data unit which is 500 bytes long. So maximum transmission unit, MTU, of the source is 520. 500 is actually the body of the data, and 20 bytes is the header. So total it will make it 520 bytes. But the destination can accept data whose maximum transmission unit, MTU, is 200 bytes. So sender's packet size is 520 bytes. Receiver's packet size is 200 bytes. Now what happens? The source will create a packet or a datagram in the network layer. Can you all see in the diagram? The source in the network layer will create a datagram. 500 bytes data part, 20 bytes header part, no optional part. Okay. So now this datagram has got created. So now what happens? It will send from the network layer. You all can see below the internet layer is nothing but the network layer. Okay. Below the internet layer or the network layer, there is host to network layer. You can call it as Maitri. Maitri. Are you sleeping, Maitri?
Sorry, ma'am.
What is going on? What is going on?
Sorry, ma'am, I missed it was.
What missed? What missed? What is missing is you are not paying attention in the class. I'm talking to you, Maitri.
Sorry, ma'am.
I'm talking to you.
Yes, ma'am.
If you people don't want to pay attention, why are you attending the class? Answer.
No, ma'am, that was by miss.
What miss? At least call it a mistake. That was by miss means what? I'm trying to give you so much information. I myself am working so hard to give you this. And you people are talking and making masti at home. Start the video, let's see. Maitri, start the video.
Yes, ma'am.
What is going on? Tell me.
Sorry, ma'am, there was a lot of disturbance over here.
No, it was not the question of disturbance. You were not paying attention. It was not. I'm not talking about the disturbance at home. It happens at my home also. I'm talking about you people not paying attention. You people are not giving as much attention as you should. You're only logging in. That's all. Isn't it? All of you. I'm not talking only about you. All of you. When I ask a question, you are unable to answer. Nobody is paying attention. It's like a fool. I am babbling something here. Switch off your video. I think it's a waste to teach you all so much is actually not required. I'll do my job as I do it usually. So imagine the source has got a maximum transmission unit of 520 bytes. To this the actual data is 500 bytes. To it, a header is attached, which is of 20 bytes, the fixed part. Optional part is not there. So what the data link layer or the host to network layer will do, it will take the 520 bytes, it will attach its own header and trailer and transmit it to the router. So now this is happening at the source. Now it comes to the router. Now when it comes to the router will fragment it. Router will divide that 500 bytes into smaller chunks. The network layer in the router, that is internet layer in the router, it will create fragments. Now you all can see the total amount of data that we have is 520 bytes, the original data plus the header. So this 520 bytes, actual data is 500 bytes. So see how it is divided. One packet is 180 bytes, another packet is 180 bytes, another packet is 140 bytes. So 180 plus 180 is 360, 360 plus 140 is 500. So total data 500 bytes. One packet is now divided into 3 packets, and each packet or each datagram will get a header. That header will be of 20 bytes. So you all can see the router, the internet layer in the router or the network layer in the router, 500 byte packet is now divided into small fragments, small chunks. 3 fragments have been created. One fragment is 180 bytes, another fragment is 180 bytes, and the last fragment is 140 bytes. But each one will be given a header now. The original packet is divided, but only original packet will, only one packet will not get the header. All the 3 fragments will get the header. Now the router passes it to the destination. See the destination's maximum transmission unit. Destination can accept packets which can be maximum up to 200 bytes. So 180 plus 20 is how much? 200. It will accept the data. So now every packet that comes to the destination, which is 200 bytes, is later on reassembled. Fragmentation has happened at the router. Once the destination accepts the data, which is 200 bytes, it will put together 3 packets or 3 datagrams and reassemble them into the original packet. This process of breaking down a large packet into smaller chunks is called as fragmentation, and it happens in the internet layer, or it happens in the network layer with the help of IP protocol, that is internet protocol. Okay. Now all of you have a look at the header. We were learning about this header yesterday. I have told you now the header is made up of 2 parts. If you all can see this diagram, the first 5 lines that we have, they are the fixed part, and the remaining 1 part that is shown is the optional part. Now this fixed part is 20 bytes long. You all can see every word is 32 bits. 32 bits means 4 bytes. 4 into 5, 4 bytes, 5 rows. So 4 into 5, total header will be 20 bytes. Now what is this 20 bytes? In the first row, you all can see the first field, which is of 4 bits. The first field is only of 4 bits, and that is called as the version field. It indicates the IP version that we are using. This particular header is called as IP version 4 header. So that version 4 is indicated in the first field, that is called as the version field. 4 bits are used to indicate the version. After that comes the IHL. Yesterday I was telling you, IHL indicates the total length of the header. Why we require this is because there is one fixed part and one more optional part. So fixed part will always be 20 bytes. But if optional part is variable length, then what is the total length that is indicated with the help of IHL? Yesterday I was giving you example. Imagine the fixed part as usual is 20 bytes and optional part is 4 bytes long. So the total length of the header will be 20 plus 4, which is equal to 24 bytes. And that is indicated in the second field, which is called as the IHL field, Internet Header Length field. This particular field is again 4 bytes long. On top, a scale is shown. So you can see, you can count and see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Version is 4 bit long. IHL is again 1, 2, 3, and 4. So IHL is again 4 bits long. Then comes another field which is 6 bits long, and that is called as type of service. This type of service field is used to indicate the type of service that is being given by the internet layer. This type of service will indicate, it will have 3 bits to indicate priority, and these priority bits indicate we are giving priority to what, whether the priority is given to throughput or reliability or maybe delay. There are different units, there are different ways in which this priority can be indicated. That is shown with the help of the field that is type of service field. After that comes this gray part, as you all can see. This is 2 bit long and it is unused field. So in IPv4, these 2 bits are not used. They are just left blank as it is. So whatever is shown in gray color, it is the unused bit. That means total 8 bits are provided for type of service, out of which it uses only 6 bits and 2 bits are ignored, and those 2 bits are unused bits. Then comes the next part, which is called as total length. Now the total length field indicates the length of the header plus the length of the data. Now length of the data, I told you, it can be up to, every packet can be up to, data can be up to 65,535 bytes. So what is the total data part plus the header part? That is shown in this field, which is called as the total length field. You should be able to distinguish between IHL and total length. IHL gives the length of the header. Total length gives the length of the datagram, complete datagram, that is header plus data. So this total length, this field is 16 bits long. You all can see on top, this particular field is how long? 16 bits are used to indicate the total length field, and it indicates the length of the header plus the data part. For example, data part is 500, header is 20, total is 520. That is indicated in this field, which is called as total length field. Then comes the next field, which is again 16 bits long. If you all can see on top, the scale and this field, that is identification field. The identification field is used to give an identifier to a fragment. See, every packet, if it is large, will get fragmented. Original packet will get broken into smaller chunks. So these chunks belong to the original packet itself. So identification number will identify a fragment. For example, packet number 1, if it is divided into 3 fragments, then we can, for the sake of understanding, imagine packet number 1, its first fragment, we call it as 1.1. Packet number 1, second fragment, let's call it as 1.2. Packet number 1, third fragment, let's call it as 1.3. So 1 is the packet number, original, and 1 is the fragment number. Again, 1 is the packet number, 2 is the fragment number. So 1.1. This fragment belongs to which original packet? That is indicated with the help of this field, that is identification field. For example, imagine we have packet number 10 and 10 is divided into 3 packets. So what will be the, what will be the identification, or how we will identify it? 10.1, 10.2, 10.3. So original packet number is 10. Its fragment together will be called as the identification. So this identification number indicates the fragment to which the original packet to which the fragment is belonging. Then comes 3 bits fields, out of which the first bit is unused bit. If you all can see this bit, it's gray color, it is unused bit, it is to be ignored. Then come 2 fields, one is DF, another one is MF. And these 2 are 1 bit field. 1 bit means either it will be set to 1 or it will be set to 0. Single bit is there to indicate that field. DF stands for don't fragment and MF stands for more fragments. Don't fragment means we are imposing a restriction on the router that a particular packet cannot be divided into smaller chunks. It may so happen that we don't want a packet to be fragmented. there is some part of the data, maybe it is confidential. We do not wish fragmentation to happen there. And that's why DF bit can be set to 1 at the source. If it is set to 1 at the source, the router will not fragment it. It will send it as it is. Maybe it will forward it to other routers where, it is being, from where it is being forwarded. And later on at the destination, it could be fragmented or it could be reassembled. But DF will put a restriction on the router not to fragment the data. So if DF is set to 1, it cannot be fragmented. If DF is set to 0, that particular packet can be fragmented. MF stands for more fragment. If at all, for example, suppose a particular packet is divided into 3 chunks. The first fragment, the second fragment, and the third fragment. For first, after first, there are going to be 2 more fragments or 2 more, what you can call chunks, which are coming. So to indicate that there are more fragments of this particular packet, MF bit is set to 1. So for the first packet, it will be set to 1. For the second packet, it will be set to 1. Third packet is the last packet. After that, there are no more packets. That time it will be set to 0. Then comes another field which is 13 bits long, and that gives the fragment offset. Fragment offset indicates the byte where this particular fragment needs to be fitted when it is being reassembled. For example, imagine we have a packet of 500 bytes. It has been divided into 5 fragments, 100, another 100, 300, 400, and 500. So every fragment is of 500 bytes. Now for the first packet, the fragment offset will be 0 because it is the first one. For the second packet, the fragment will start. First 100 bytes are already there. So the second packet, the fragment will start from 101. The third packet, it will start from 201. The next packet, it will start from 301. The last packet, it will start from 401. This 101, 201, 301 is the starting byte where it should be fitted when it is being reassembled. That is indicated with the help of this field, which is called as the fragment offset field. Then comes another field, which is 8 bits long, which is called as time to live field. Now this time to live field is like an age field, which is decremented at every hop. If the time to live field is reaching 0, and if the packet doesn't reach the destination, maybe it is getting hovered inside the subnet itself. So if time to live field becomes 0, this packet is as good as a dead packet. So it is going to be ignored and discarded, and the packet is going to be retransmitted. Every packet of data that is there in a datagram that is there in the internet, it will have a time to live field. It is like a validity field. How long this packet will be valid, how long the data inside the packet will be valid, that is indicated with the help of time to live. So at every hop, every time it is sent to a router, the time to live field is decremented. Okay. And if time to live field hits a 0, that means its life is over and that packet is going to be discarded. Then comes another 8-bit field, which is called as the protocol field. This is used to indicate which protocol in the destination will be accepting the data, accepting the packet that we have sent. Then comes another 16-bit field, which is called as the header checksum. We all know checksum is a method of checking errors inside the packet. If we want this particular header checksum is used to check if any errors have occurred in the header, not in the data. In the header part, any bits have got changed, that we can check with the help of header checksum. Just like single parity check or CRC or longitudinal parity check. In the last semester, we had learned error detection methods. Checksum is an important error detection method which is used in internet. Header checksum will check if any errors have occurred in the header. Then comes next field, which is 32 bits long, and that is called as the source address. This is the IP address of the sending machine or the source machine. Similarly, the next field is 32 bits long, and it contains the IP address of the receiving machine, that is the destination address. After that, this is the fixed part now. After that comes the optional part, which can be up to 40 bytes. It can be 0 or more. 0 means no optional part. Even if 1 byte, 2 bytes, 3 bytes are there, then that becomes the optional part. It is variable length. So this optional part will include certain parameters which indicate either security or maybe the path that is taken up while transmitting the data through many routers. This optional part, what it contains, is shown in this table. So there are different options that you can include in your internet header. One is the security option, strict source routing, loose source routing, record route, and timestamp. Each of them is described in the table. So security option specifies how confidential your datagram is. So if you want your packet to be given more protection, then you can include this option, which is called as the security option. Then a strict source routing, where the complete path from the source to the destination is specified in the header itself. So the router has to follow that path itself. It can't take any other path. Loose source routing means certain routers should not be missed. Your packet has to go through certain routers. Maybe the whole path is not indicated, but some part of the path is indicated inside this field, which is called as loose source routing. Record source means as the packet goes through multiple routers, which path it has taken, the IP address of each router is appended to the packet. That is called as record route. So that at the destination, we can come to know which path it took, which all routers it went to in order to reach the destination. And lastly, timestamp will append not only the IP address, but also the time at which that packet had gone to a router before reaching the destination. So timestamp and address together, if they are appended, then the option that is included is timestamp. So these options are not really important, but for certain data, if you want these options to work, then you can include the optional part in the IP header, which can be up to maximum 40 bytes. Now, these are not all the options. Some of the options I have included in this table: security, strict source routing, loose source routing, record route, and timestamp. Okay. Now I want you all to have a look at the header once again and tell me if you have understood whatever we discussed today. What we discussed initially is how IP datagrams are created. Data gets generated at higher layers, comes to transport layer. Transport layer will break it down. Internet layer will create datagrams and then transmit the data. Every datagram is made up of two parts, header and data. Header can again be having two parts, fixed part and optional part. Fixed part is 20 bytes and optional part can be maximum up to 40 bytes. Okay, I've told you the process of fragmentation with the help of example. Okay, and then I have told you the header and the different fields that are there in the header. Why I'm repeating this again and again is because in the exam every year they ask you this question. Almost every year the IP header, there are marks for drawing the header and there are marks for explaining the fields. All right. Then comes the optional part, which can decide security or protection for the packet, the route that has to be taken, the timestamp, whether it needs to be appended to the packet, and so on. Okay. Now, all of you enter your attendance first and let me know if you have any doubts. Is there any doubt in what we learned today?
Ma'am, can you explain the type of service section once again?
Type of service. Now, this type of service field is 6 bits long. It contains 3 bits which indicate the priority given to the packet. Priority means preference. Means when we are transmitting this packet, we want to give priority to what? We want to give priority to reliability, throughput, or whether we want to give priority to delay. Throughput means number of packets transmitted per unit of time, means whether we want the packets to get transmitted faster. Delay is also related to time, whether the jitter or the timing, span of time that is going to elapse from the moment you transmit the data till it is received. That, or maybe reliability means we have to ensure that the packet reaches smoothly. So there can be different priorities which we can give to our data. I just gave you example of throughput or reliability or delay. Combinations of bits are used to indicate we are giving the priority to which service, or we are giving priority to whom among these, that is whether throughput or reliability or delay, and there can be others also. So type of service will basically decide the priority of the packet, the preference that we are giving to the packet, whether a particular packet is to be transmitted with confidentiality, whether we want it to remain a secret, whether we don't want that particular packet to be going to certain routers which we feel are going to misuse the data. So priority to what we are giving, that is indicated in the field which is called as type of service field.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Any more doubts are there in what we learned just now?
No, ma'am.
Should we stop?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.